NightMare versus Clem. Best of 3. Still lower brackets, so losers out of the tournament. Winner gets to survive until tomorrow, the final day. They will be top 6 at that stage, so that's what we're playing for over here. As NightMare will be our red Protoss player in the bottom left corner of the map to start off this best of 3 series. Top right hand side, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid. This is going to be Clem. Very exciting. Alright, so map number 1 of the best of 3. Just going to see the SCV of Clem out down to the bottom side of the map. Alright, so it turns out Crank was just, his BattleNet just went AFK and it didn't ping him when he got invited initially and stuff. Alright, all good, at least he'll be here for game 2. NightMare's going to be aggressive to start, a pylon in the middle of the map, so he's already saying, hey look, you know, I'm Mr. Aggressive Man over here. I'm going to put some damage out, I'm going to be aggressive, but Clem is opening with a factory before an expansion, so Clem himself is kind of saying, well, let's go, you know, I'm going to play into my factory, I'm going to get my own expansion up in a very safe manner. I shouldn't really die to anything aggressive from you. He does this because he's engineering bay blocked, and obviously he knows it's likely that his opponent might do something aggressive himself, and as a response to this, we're going to proxy that Stargate dead center on 2,000 atmospheres, so Clem doesn't know what it is, but I love that the SCV sits in the corner of NightMare's base, because if he doesn't check for that, that means the SCV might be able to sneak back in and just have a second scout. See, hey, you know, what are you working with? Are you adding extra gateways? Have you maybe put down your tech in the main base at some stage? So nice to have that SCV hidden away and that scouting potential there. There's now another pylon top left from NightMare, and it feels like he is going to go completely crazy trying to figure this out. So this is pretty funky to begin with. We do have the Stargate about to complete. The Nexus is on the way from NightMare as well. The Oracle is on the way out. And the Probe. We're just going to... Okay, we're going to build Twilight over here. So we're going to proxy Stargate into proxy... Is it Dark Shrine or is it Blink? I mean... Feels like Dark Shrine if you're going to proxy it and hide it. Because otherwise Blink is not like a crazy follow-up that is meant to be hidden away necessarily. So I imagine we're just going to go Dark Templar here. But it's just a hell of a 1-2 punch, right? I mean, you're definitely, you know, ramping up to try and make a big deal out of this then. As the Adept does go shading through to the top side of the map. And, yeah, like I say, I think you've just pretty much got to go DTs. Otherwise, why proxy the Twilight Council? Cyclone locks onto the Oracle. Good start, but vision will likely be an issue, and no scan available because of one base and muling, because mules are good. So yeah, Oracle gets to stay alive at least. Engineering Bay ended up cancelling, and Clem just, again, the Oracle might keep him busy enough he doesn't think about the Dark Templar possibility. I wouldn't be, but Clem's much better than me, so maybe he does. But like I said, it's definitely a tricky style from NightMare. He's definitely doing something a little bit funky here, a little bit different. It's kind of cool. Very cool, as we do have our orbital command finishing up on the side of Clem. Just going to see the racks coming through, a couple probes on the way down over here also. So all of that just setting up, as we do have our little revelation going to go down on the Marine Tank Force. The orbital will come over here as well, will land on the natural. And Clem, what's his scan situation at? He's got nothing, so he's got no scans available, wants to attack. He knows where the Stargate is, so he's going to unpower this, but yeah, he needs to be ready for DTs, and he's just, at the moment, he just isn't in any way, shape, or form. He's got no starports, he's got no Raven potential. And right now, he's got no way of dealing with the Dark Templar at all. I mean, obviously, scans will come up. The good news is these DTs have to warp in from quite far away, so that's like the saving grace at the moment, I guess. So, yeah, that's nice. The DTs now walking across will give Clem a bit of time to respond at the very least. Well, otherwise, I mean, Clem is just setting up with tank, marines, cyclone, all of this pulling back And let's see what happens with the DTs arriving. We do have a scan available. He needs to lift the depot, really. He can't let this in the main. He gets the depot lift. It's a big deal. He just dropped a mule. He literally just double muled. He had a scan when when the DTs walked into the natural, and he just muled. Didn't see them in time. Oh, well, now it's obviously damage control. How much can he stop from happening? I mean, the good news is, I guess, only the units in the low ground are in real danger. There's no prism here. But this is obviously a lot of lost mining time, and the follow-up to this is Blink Stalkers. So if the Blink Stalkers show up in force, that can be problematic as well. Clem's getting one turret off to the side, trying to make something happen so he can work against the low ground as well. A couple cyclones. I guess we're going to scan. He still doesn't have a scan, though. He locks on for a second. Hey, he still doesn't have a scan, really, so he's just trying to feign feign something as a turret does reach the low ground, so that's nice. Yeah, that's just what he has to work with at the moment. Like I say, the big issue is how much mining time he lost here, and now the Stalkers with the Blink going to be able to get something done, I'd imagine. We will scan there. 7 SCVs, a tank, and 13 Marines for the 2 DTs. It's a fantastic start. No doubt about it. It's a very, very strong start. Well, let's see what NightMare can do with this. Obviously, he's going up to his 3 bases back at home. He's getting charge on the way. Clem is getting to some of his powerful upgrades, such as Stim, and then his combat shields and +1 will not be far behind to power up into the rest of the kind of, power Terran plays. I'm trying to load up the Marines. Clem's going to go across the map, he says. I'm going to try and defend with the Cyclones and go from there. But because NightMare's attacking in, now he's going to be like, well, where the hell are your Marines? So surely it should, click a little bit. Like, hey, the Marines aren't here. If the Marines aren't here, they're probably doing something aggressive with them. So I'd be surprised if there's no defense ready. These Stalkers just microing back effectively, and Clem's really relying on getting damage done with this. I think he sees that Stasis Ward at least, so he'll Stim, get rid of that, and maybe he can get rid of the battery and then trade. But playing Stalkers, they have Blink. Clem's just going to lift up and get out of there. But yeah, this does not look good at the moment. NightMare having a very good start to this game number 1 as Marauders continue to Stim down the ramp. The Stalker goes down. Here's those come charging through. Marauders in trouble. Oh, these Stalkers are going to get the medevacs. Well, a few Stalkers go down at least, so this wasn't for free. In fact, quite a lot of Stalkers end up going down there, so Clem at least gets some damage done, but he scans, he sees that there is indeed 3 bases. There's not crazy saturation. It's only 49 probes. So it's not like NightMare has the craziest economy behind all of this, but it's obviously a good enough economy, typically, considering what Clem has in comparison. And it's just been one thing after the other that Clem's been having to deal with here is, that Widow Mine is not going to actually get killed off, so it will kill a Stalker. It doesn't really matter, though. That was the one thing that Clem had as a small victory in a fight that was otherwise very much so lost and done. In the bottom left, our blue Terran player from Team Liquid. This is going to be Clem. Down a map. It looked troubling at times against Harston today too, but he pulled it back in that first game. And now he'll be a game down, though, having a fight against NightMare, our Red Protoss, top right side, here in this second game. Well then. Mealtime was super unfortunate. Yeah, it really was. Like, if those meals don't go down, it's still tough for him because, you've got to have repeated scans and stuff and all that sort of, all that kind of stuff going on. So, yeah. It still would have been bad even if he had a scan initially. But it's obviously really bad when you've got to run around like crazy for a little while. little bit of SUV and probe back and forth for the moment. Just gonna have a zealot nibbling the engineering bay. And obviously that engineering bay block. A similar startup to what we saw last time around as well. Engineering bay gets cancelled. Nexus builds in location, this time obviously not on the third. There's no proxy on the map. So Clem is going to CC up in his main base, being very cautious of the potential counter-aggression that NightMare might apply on the back of this opening. The Twilight just coming through. Nexus on the way. Standoff from NightMare, they're just going to open with Blink, it would seem, this time around. Don't think that's going to be GTs. Oh, it is going to be GTs. GTs with no robo, though. Yeah, obviously DT's no robo is kind of intriguing. Probe just scouts into the natural. Orbital going to lift off, just going to move over there. Just going to see the stim pack coming through on the side of Clem. Just getting that up and running. There's our tank coming through. Stim pack on the way. Couple gates setting up. The Dark Shrine coming up as well. Robo facility building up on the side of NightMare. I'm just going to be having, like I say, the first DTs will have to come in from a proxy pylon that will not be, you know, a quick warp in at least, so Clem has more time to prep. And Clem, well, he's apparently just weighing out. What we actually got vision-wise, doesn't see too much of what's going on. He's obviously got... He's dropping mules, but only when he's got the next scan basically ready again already, you know? Dark Shrine gets picked off, just going to be seeing the tank coming in. Assault turret producing from Clem, realizing it's DTs. A little unfortunate that DT doesn't go down sooner, but has a second scan, cleans it up. 2 DTs don't do anything. Great start. Look at the army supply right now from Clem. It's very far ahead, and that's what happens when you deal with these DTs effectively and quickly. Starport starts up. Stimmin +1 on the way. Factory moves over. And Clem just going to be, I think, pretty content. I mean, this advantage that he holds right now will lead on a little while as well. Stalker's adventure down the map, and obviously we'll look for a little bit of light pressure here, perhaps, as Clem sets up defensively across the front lines. And tanks the Marine Marauder, like I say, just set up pretty nicely for the moment here. As we wait to see what will go down. Yeah, factory just lifts up. Starport going to go down as well. So far, pretty much just so good. Medivacs, Marines, Marauders, waiting for Clem to just feel comfortable enough to move across the map. The only issue is whenever you move across the map here, because the Dark Shrine is still alive, you've got to have scans. If you don't have scans, your opponent can just send 1 DT into your army at a time, and they will just chip away at you repeatedly. So that's something to also be considering. As our value units move forward, they actually get a Stalker before the blink back happens from NightMare, so that's a nice little grab. It's a nice pickoff. And again, just going to be making our way through the middle of the map. Clem going to go and get this push started. Yeah, if you're NightMare, I really feel like you should already be throwing just a DT at this army. Get a scan out of Clem every single time. You just want to force those scans and maybe potentially slow Clem down. Not doing it just yet, though. Observer here. It's kind of a funky one, because do you want to actually scan for an observer right now? Like I say, I think scans are a huge resource on Clem's side. There's a flank of Zealots set up to the right. Clem, I don't believe, saw that just yet, and now we're going to have Zealots around the back as well to get on top of these tanks. Yeah, it's not a fight that Clem really wants to take. The surround is really good from NightMare. Coming in from both angles, and yeah, Clem's going to lift up to go to the main. He does get into the main without losing a medevac. That looked very scary. Yeah, great setup from NightMare. Knew exactly what he needed to do. It was pre-set up as well. He saw the army coming. He put his Zealots in a few different places, and boom. Wasted no time at all jumping on that. Didn't let Clem get set up any further, and just took the engagement he wanted. And, yeah, good defense from NightMare. Why do the Marauders have melted cheese on their shoulders? That's a star. That's when you play with this star icon that goes on your Marauders' shoulders. Melted cheese. That's funny. Well, I mean, the one thing you remember here is NightMare didn't go for upgrades or anything. He didn't go for tech. He went for a massive unit. So, coming out of the previous fight, you know, when the DT's going down, it wasn't looking pretty for him. However, because of what he set up to do, he actually put himself in a pretty good position to just, you know, engage, right? Like, when Clem pushes like that, your army is kind of made to be able to kind of run in and clean it up, because he's not put the money into things which wouldn't have helped. So, it helps. Nice kill on the Prism. Cyclone stays alive long enough to help, but a mine will blow up one Zealot, and that means that this should be pretty okay over there. Actually have mine set up here. This is going to be interesting, because we don't actually have splash damage on the map still here from NightMare, so you need to be careful. It's still just a mass of units, and if you run into the splash damage of those Widow Mines, this can fall apart for you very, very quickly. Another Widow Mine shot, making a couple going in, hitting the Zealots right now. Just going to be seeing our Fire Force still fighting back. A couple of Zealots getting chased away. But a couple of Widow Mines that are still active. And get those in play, that would be amazing. Super Battery currently healing up these Stalkers. On those two SCVs across the map, but he's obviously got a pretty good force over here right now, and his reinforcements are walking to the other side. One of these mines is going to survive long enough to get his secondary shot off, which is great as well. But we are about to see NightMare get into his first Colossus, so his first real bit of splash damage will be able to get going here in just a few moments. That should help out a lot as well as we sim forward. Zealot Stalker Sentry wanting to maybe come through as well. The Colossus taking some hits. Widow Mine shot going off. Zealot obviously just dodging away initially. And we continue through for now as we just have our backwards and forwards action continue to take place. So, moving in, moving back. Well, force fields. I mean, it feels like a bit of desperation, right, when you start warping in sentries for like their single force fields available, just to buy a little bit of time. These Zealots actually looking like they might end up counterattacking. Now there's a second Colossus. Can Clem really keep fighting here with two Colossi of splash damage? Well, Super Battery at the moment obviously turns this around quite nicely. Clem might want to bring back some of these mines, because the Colossi can hit them down from so far away. And he saves the two that were still active. It's just Bio over here. The Zealots actually turned around from the counterattack into the flank, and that's nice. Gonna force Clem to lift up, because he just can't work through the tankiness of that army, so just has to, like I say, work around that one. Just makes it a little bit more complicated. Nice catch from NightMare. Gets the Widow Mine drop before it's able to connect. I gotta say, NightMare's playing a pretty freaking good game. Clem is obviously tacking up. Ghosts, Vikings, all on the way out. So he is improving his army. He's improving his setup. But yeah, like I said, NightMare's been playing great so far. Been really fantastic here. Army continues to move back and forth just a little bit. Figuring out what's going on. Just going to be seeing this Temple Archives on the way up in the base as well. So just getting the Temple Archive started. Obviously, just more tech, more options. I guess you just introduce a few Archons here. You've got Disruptors on the way. You don't really need Storm. Storm and Disruptors fill a very similar role in the Protoss army, so not really necessary to go Storm as well. I mean, you can put... the one thing you can do, obviously, with High Templars, you can put High Templars in a Prism and then Storm forwards with the Prism diving in, but I think it's more likely we just see a few Archons coming in and just bulking up the army a little bit. Zealots do counterattack through, and a few SCVs begin to go down. So, again, these counterattacks just finding work from NightMare. Yeah, they're not killing like entire mineral lines or anything, but it's keeping Clem back at home. It's allowing NightMare to be on the map. He's getting himself more disruptors in play. It's buying him the time he needs and wants to be fully set up here. A couple snipes go down, DTs get blasted. Just going to be seeing the army collecting together in the center. As you do again have Marine, Marauder, Ghost, all continuing through. The couple of extra Vikings coming up as well. And just going to be seeing, oh, the TT's just about sliding on by. Now down to the bottom side of the map. Gonna jump on that Colossus right away. Gets denied pretty much immediately there. The Disruptor shot coming through. We do get the EMP off, and that's going to be those Dark Templar getting denied as well. We blink forward, and the bio units pull back, and I mean, these fights can be deadly either way, right? I mean, a good EMP, a good Disruptor shot, these fights flip in a moment if you're not careful, so a lot to be careful for. That's Clem. I gotta say, I mean, one thing that he has done, you know, I mentioned those run-bys weren't doing a lot, but they're keeping Clem back. That's kind of respect to Clem as well, because he's not been trying to dive forward so much so that he's being caught off by those. He kind of knew when he had to defend. He knew when he had to be a bit more careful in this. This Observer's great. Just gives you so much information about the motions that Clem is making, so you know where to send the Disruptors to. He used a lot of the Disruptor shots recently. Oh, wow. What the... That was some real mature play from Clem. He did not stim his army there. He waited and just ran forward normally. I feel like Clem of old would have stimmed his army there and just kind of ran in, but like I say, that was very patient, mature play as he dives on the units on the left side, refreshing some EMPs on the right, multiple Disruptor shots flying but not connecting, and Clem, I think, is genuinely moments away from breaking through this army. There's just not a lot of strength left in it. A lot of these Zealots that are coming around, I mean, they just don't have armor upgrades, so if they get hit by an EMP, they melt too quickly. The Colossi don't have the support they're looking for, and the Disruptor count is nowhere near what it used to be. We could even land those Vikings on those Disruptors, perhaps, on the right side. He's going to land those Vikings just in general at the moment as Clem pushes over to the left, and obviously the Vikings will help out. Oh, even lived in the Vikings, going to take care of every single one of his units, apparently. Yeah, I mean, actually, it would be nice to keep these Vikings in play and fighting. He actually had a good Disruptor shot there in the end. Finally, a Disruptor that connects. But Clem's now up 80 supply or so, so it looks very good for Clem, obviously. Looking pretty freaking amazing. And Bio Viking Force just keeps on pushing through these DTs. Are coming in, swiping around. A Disruptor gets denied. DTs blink in, but there's a scan. Last-ditched effort from NightMare. It ain't going to be enough. And Clem's going to tie this series up 1-1. NightMare played great. Clem played freaking great as well. I mean, everyone just played good. Very nicely done. GG's. And we have a 1-1 tied-up series. On the top right-hand side, Blue Terran player tying it up is going to be the Team Liquid Terran player Clem. And maybe for the first time, not a Engineering Bay block this time. It's been an Engie block 2 games in a row otherwise, as in the bottom left. It is going to be our Red Protoss player, NightMare. As if he comes in, chasing the probe a little bit, so a bit of damage being dealt there initially. And Madag, oh god, that's her name. Thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. Thank you so much for supporting. SCV's chasing down a probe. Reaper's going to be on the way up. You're just going to be seeing the probe heading around and just going to be seeing where we go with this then for our game 3. Just, I mean, probe being annoying, as it should be early in the game like this. That's exactly what you want out of your probe, so getting the job done for now. A good old probie. A good old probie. Big map, as I was saying just before we loaded in. It's a very sizable map for sure. Interested as to how this will pan out. As the probe heads up toward the upper right side. Our Nexus going down the natural. Reaper gonna ping away at the pylon. Stalk actually getting a good few shots off, and the grenade doesn't help too much, but there's a bunker in the mineral line, so bunker's obviously gonna be good. Reaper gets to go in there, and we'll start deal some damage to the Stalker. SCV gonna play the dancing game, and back at home, Clem is going into his factory. Post command center this time, and it's gonna be a robo initially from NightMare. Wow. You don't see robo openings a lot in TvP because they don't give you the control and the potential that you sometimes see otherwise. So yeah, the robo opening's a little bit unique, a little bit different. Excited to see what comes of that as across the map this dance has continued. We actually did just stop a Marine from getting into the bunkers, so that trying to join in didn't go too well. So Marine denied, and unfortunately will not be able to take part in the bunker shenanigans. Well, not the end of the world, right? I mean, I'm sure we'll get through without that being too much of an issue. Bunker's actually going to go down. Good pressure from the Stalkers. SCV not able to repair it enough, as we actually didn't go for the final shot to kill it. I find that surprising. The salvage is allowed to go off. I guess he just really wanted to prioritize killing the Reaper, which did happen, so you do get rid of the Reaper. That at least is a big bonus. And just going to be seeing the Prism going to finish in a few moments' time. And NightMare will have that on his side. So obviously that's the idea of the Prism. You get the Prism up, you can go across the map and, well, I mean, I guess take some Stalkers across. It's not like he's got a ton of warp-ins. He's only got one gateway. I'm like double checking here, but yeah, it's only one gate. So this is just going to be like a 4-Stalker harassment squad. I just expected something more when he committed to the Robo initially. Present goes to the far upper right. A couple of Hellions have actually just ran by for 6 worker kills, so they are doing a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, 7 probes. We got some that low HP there. That was 9 if he had the shot in this direction. That's a lot of damages. Here come the Stalkers, I guess, to try and make up for the 7 workers lost. So, like I say, it's just such a weird build from NightMare. And this is kind of in part why, because now to do damage you have to bring all of your gateway units across the map, which leaves you open to, you know, stuff like a couple of Hellions just walking in and doing very well for themselves. Clem, I think, puts himself in a prime spot here so far in this 3rd map. See what happens continuing on those. Just have our probes continuing up, gateway on the way. With the Viking out, you zone the Prism away. Obviously that shouldn't really be able to do too much more, because you just can't stick around very long. The Cyclone, ooh, was very late to get the lock on there, and we actually do lose the Cyclone. We're going to lose the Viking. Oh, it gets to the correct side. Oh, wow, it's actually going to kill the Prism. Just gets to the other side now to range of the Stalkers in time. Otherwise, that would have been a problem. 4 probes going down across the map as the Widow Mine drop shows up, and Clem continuing to apply really good pressure so far. I mean, NightMare's doing nothing but adding on extra gateways, so it still doesn't even feel like he is very well set up here. Can't say that I'm super in love with his position as of right now. Comes up by 12 SCVs, and that's obviously, I mean, if anything, it's meant to be the other way around. It's meant to be the Protoss player with the worker lead, but that's just not the case. Losing the Prism takes away all your map control now as well, right? So it's just, what do you really do? You have Stalkers without upgrades. You're going to get a Colossus out, but like I say, there's no map presence. There's no map control. You don't know if an attack's coming. You don't know when you're safe. You don't know when you need to prepare. All of that lack of information is going to be really, really rough. As upgrades finish up here, Clem's going to go for his first attack. I'm not even sure if the Colossi save you right now. I mean, I guess what will save NightMare is the fact he doesn't have a third base. And that's funny, obviously, you're like, well, surely he wants a third base. Well, yes, he wants one. But because he doesn't have one, Clem might A, not attack in, or B, might not be able to attack in. He might be unsuccessful if he tries. So NightMare is kind of hoping on a mistake from Clem's side. He's sort of saying, hey, look, if you just attack me, and I'm on 2 bases, maybe I can hold, and if I hold, then I've got a chance. I like this little drop from Clem. Just light pressure, right? Just something little, something small. Got a major attack on the other side. He's going to see no third. And so I don't imagine Clem's going to attack in if he sees no third base. There's just no need for him to. He's got his own third base coming up. He does lose this medevac, but he's going to find, what, 8 probes? And we're already talking about a probe deficit for NightMare. Yeah, he's going to find a Stalker, a couple more probes. 11 workers, a Stalker. Great little drop in the main base. Great trade for Clem. Now a 15 worker lead, plus about to be triple mule because he's got a third orbital up. Yeah, the economy mismatch here continues to grow. Clem's even, I mean, he's not going to attack in, but he's going to siege and kind of set up a contain, which kind of invites NightMare into like, hey, you want to break out? Come, come attack into me. NightMare's like, well, I don't really want to attack into you. And Clem's like, well, exactly, right? It's not meant to be good for you to attack into me. As he attacks in, 3 Colossi are kind of scary. And Clem just backs it up, loses a couple units, but he's got his opponent still on 2 bases. So I don't think Clem really minds. I think Clem is still kind of in the mind of that this is going exactly how he wants it to. He's got his opponent exactly where he wants him to be. The block guy is about halfway done as you see our Bioforce moving back in front of the third. Little scan going out. Zards and Colossi are going to be seen. Look at the supply difference, right? I mean, it's just that worker advantage that Clem has had throughout here. It's undeniably good, of course. It's looking pretty freaking amazing, all said and done. As we, just have, a couple of wooden mines sat on the bottom side. They're going to move into the natural. Hello! Drop 1, drop 2, probes. Do not get rid of. Oh, no! He even pulled a couple of probes back, but they weren't the ones targeted, so the wooden mine gets 7 workers. My goodness, man. Oh, NightMare played a really cool set of games to begin with, but obviously this has just gone out of control at this stage. It's way too far gone. It's way too far slipped. There's not really much else to add to this one anymore, I think. His army's going to get absolutely, utterly destroyed, and I don't want to be pessimistic, just sometimes you look at a situation in a game and is it pessimism or is it realism, At one point, you obviously had Colossi against, no Vikings, so that was kind of hopeful, but now it's Colossi against a bunch of Vikings. Vikings going to zone out this Prism. I like that he's trying to do something at least, right? He realizes he can't just sit around and do nothing. So he's trying to get a little bit funky. He's trying to do things differently than you might initially. I mean, that's good news. That's a step in the right direction for NightMare, but so far Clem's defended well. I mean, this fight would be bad for Clem. Running down a ramp into this. He actually believes his Vikings can just go, though. The Prism is going to micro the Vikings. We're actually going to get rid of that Prism, I imagine. Stops the warp, and Clem has just gone down the ramp, and that's just how far ahead he is. Clem is going to survive to the final day of the WardiTV Winter Championship as he takes down NightMare 2-1. I think we've got to take our hats off and applaud NightMare, though, because he was really good in this series. This third game, probably the least impressive. Didn't love the Robo opening, but games 1 and 2, he really put up a hell of a fight, and he really put up a series. It was extremely fun to watch, so good games, NightMare. It was fun to watch you, buddy.